La Corte Penal Internacional ha empezado a juzgar este martes a los máximos líderes políticos de Kenia.
El presidente de Kenia, Uhuru Kenyatta, compareció este miércoles ante la Corte Penal.
Boko Haram es el grupo islamista más violento del África subsahariana.
No, si no es posible hablar.
Esto tiene que mostrar en la televisión. Esto tiene que mostrarlo, no lo da.
El Centro de Derechos Humanos de la ONU pide al Estado venezolano que exija cuentas a los responsables.
Hola, bienvenidos a otro programa de Nos la tomamos en serio, un programa que busca difundir impacto positivo a través de las historias de personas. Hoy con nosotros es un placer recibir a alguien muy cercano, Bettina AMBACH. Bienvenida, Bettina. ¿Quién es Bettina y qué es la Fundación Wayamo?
Bueno, hola. Who I am German. I am a mother of two wonderful children. I live in Berlin now, but I'm originally from Düsseldorf, near Cologne. And I studied in different countries. One very important year was Cameroon, where I spent 1 year studying African history, then in France and in Hamburg. And since then, I started being a journalist. So I worked for many years as an investigative journalist for German media. And through the work, investigative stories, justice work, I entered the justice world and started Wayamo, which is a non-profit organization. I was by then living in Spain for 16 years, and it changed a little bit my way of working purely as a journalist and becoming the head of an NGO, which I'm doing now. And then after 16 years, I moved back to Germany, decided to go to Berlin, and since how many years now? 6 years, I'm now in Berlin, which is a wonderful city to live in. And I'm doing our NGO work, and you will ask me questions, what's interesting of that, here in Berlin.
¿Qué es la Fundación Wayamo?
The Foundation Wayamo is, as I said, a non-profit organization. We are about 8 people all over the world. We have in Kenya, in Ghana, in Madrid, in Toronto. So we are kind of all over the world, and we are 4 people here in Berlin. We mainly try to end impunity for the biggest crimes in this world, the most serious crimes, which are crimes against humanity, genocide, and war crimes. That sounds like huge, and it doesn't really mean a lot. So what do? We believe that justice is rather done at a national level, although we promote the work of international criminal courts, but we think that justice is much more important to be seen also in countries where the crimes have been committed, where the victims live. And this is why our main activity is capacity building in the countries themselves. And that can take different forms. We also still do media training, but now mainly we strengthen the capacity of investigators and prosecutors in crisis countries, mainly Africa.
What is strengthening capacity? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we always say strengthening capacity and not really building capacity, because many countries already have capacity. They build their capacity. We come to strengthen it, because it always sounds terrible when you come to countries and you behave as if they don't know their stuff. But what we do, we organize trainings where we would, for example, Nigeria right now is one of our biggest countries where we have a big project, which is already since 2 years and will go on for 2 more years. And we bring together the investigators from police and from military, plus the prosecutors under the Justice Ministry. And as you know, Nigeria has the challenging situation of fighting the war against Boko Haram, a terrorist group in the northeast of the country. So what we do, we bring them together, the investigators and the prosecutors, and organize trainings, how to investigate better, how to find evidence, how to analyze evidence, how to call the crimes what they are, and not just belonging to a terrorist organization, but trying to find out, what are the crimes they committed. They're terrible crimes these people commit, from murder, from abduction, from putting these belts around the belly and explode in the air, children, so these are new crimes, relatively new crimes. Nigeria didn't have terrorism challenges before. Now they have it. So it means that we all need to strengthen our capacity to deal with these crimes.
Bettina, ¿qué te hizo llegar a crear la fundación? ¿Qué hecho marcó en tu vida periodística la necesidad de crear una fundación para ayudar de esta manera al proceso judicial?
If you allow, I think I want to go one step back. And, I think that there are 2 things which made me do what I do today. And one is, many years ago, my father was a prosecutor in Düsseldorf. And he was the chief prosecutor against the Nazis in one of the worst concentration camps in Poland. And, I was 13, 14 years then, and went nearly every day when I could, and I didn't have to go to school, and I went to see the trial where, these grandmothers would sit, because the main accused were women. In fact, the warders of the concentration camp. And they were sitting there, and I was looking at them and saying, wow, they look like my grandmother. How is this possible that these people have killed thousands of people and murdered and tortured them? And I just, thought about what makes these people so bad. And also then, in the evenings, my father would invite the witnesses, very often Jewish witnesses from Poland or so, and after they had talked in the court, he would invite them sitting at our wooden kitchen table and, eating normal German dinner. And I would sit there and realize how important it is that these victims and witnesses were given the chance to explain what has happened to them. To see justice done. Sometimes it's difficult to see justice done because it has to be proven, the crime has to be proven, and sometimes the result is not to your satisfaction. But these victims were able to tell their story. And that way of, on the one hand side, trying to give justice, to end impunity, and the message that you have to be accountable. When you commit a crime, you need to be accountable. Everybody, even our big leaders and presidents, everybody has to be accountable. And on the other hand side, give these victims and witnesses the chance to speak. So for me, that really made me think a lot about what do I want to do in my life and how can I do it. And then I started being a journalist, which I think helps you a lot, because a journalist, what is a journalist? A journalist is curious. A journalist should ask everything, to understand. But a journalist also can be somebody who tries to improve things, who tries to show the problems, but also show solutions. That was always my understanding of journalism, not just, I have been in very complicated parts of the world, but always with the thought, okay, how can I give my microphone to both parties, not only one? How can I help to understand the conflict? How can we find the root causes of the conflicts? So I think this was my first way of trying to address the urge I had, what I wanted to do. And then from the journalism, there's a little step which I did to found Wayamo, and sorry for the long answer. I promised to be short, now it's really long. When we started to train journalists on how to report on justice issues, especially in countries like Kenya, where they had some issues with international justice. And because I found out how important it is for journalists to understand their own justice system and what are international crimes, this is then how we switched to the justice world and started organizing bigger events to explain what justice means, to explain what international crimes are, to explain why is it important to address them, and how you can do it. So it's a little bit these three steps.
Hay una de tus tareas que es hacer trabajar juntos al periodista con el fiscal, ¿sí? Y a todo el proceso juntarlo. ¿Dónde te diste cuenta que eso era necesario?
Como ejemplo, me gustaría dar Kenia. Where you had the president and the vice president who were accused of crimes against humanity. And there was a lot of, as you can imagine, a lot of work done by the government and, the accused people to show things a certain way, because they were sitting on the bench in the court, and journalism then became quite political. How do you report about that? And if journalists don't report factually and they don't get the story right, again, big duty to give the voice to all people. You can't just ask the NGOs, the non-governmental organization, and forget about the government. But you can also not just go to the government and get the voice of the government. So what do? You always look for different sources and give the voice to different people. So for me, that, and at the same time, investigators and prosecutors are very important to get the knowledge to address the crimes themselves. Because, Kenya, again, as an example, if they would have had all the educated or the capacity in Kenya, the International Criminal Court in The Hague would not have had to open an investigation. It's just because politically, I think, that's now my personal opinion, I think politically they didn't want to address it. The people were high up in the power structure, and it was not politically wise for them to do it. And this is why the International Criminal Court came into play.
Let me ask you. I often use a quote. This is, and you remind me. I'm gonna say it is about predicting the rain doesn't count. It's about building the ark, and sounds like it's not about saying this is what's happening. It's about doing something about what is happening. But I want to change a little bit the connotation, because the way I see it is that there are all these negative things. I want to end these negative things. My question to you, what is this? Is there anything positive about this? Can you tell me about something specific you did that came about trying to alleviate or eliminate all these negative things that happen? Is there any particular thing, oh, this is a positive outcome after all I did, after I'm build the ark, or while I'm building the ark?
Yeah, I think these little and big positive things, I mean, that's really what gives me the energy and the courage to do what I do. And you know, I said that a journalist has to be curious, but I'm also, I think, a positive person, an optimist sometimes, because, you know, as I said, I work in complicated countries where if you just go there and think it will never improve, it's impossible, then, you know, you will not have any positive impact. So, you know, I want to give you a few examples, small things. For example, when we train people in Africa, in the West, in the East, and, you know, we see that the people we trained get promoted and they get into responsible positions. I'm very happy. I think, wow, you know, that little training, you know, we may have changed something. This person now is in a more important situation. Another example, you know, we also, our partner organization of Wayamo, which was created by Wayamo, is a group of 12 of the highest African jurists and human rights lawyers. And, you know, we work with them. And for example, when some African countries threatened to withdraw from the International Criminal Court, we, together with the Africa group, published some statements, but which we, you know, sent to foreign ministers who knew our people. So on that, you know, interpersonal level. And, you know, it's difficult to say, it wasn't because of all our emails or our statements, but these countries did not withdraw from the International Criminal Court. Again, you know, unfortunately, you sometimes don't know, is it really because our high-level people did that? But you may have contributed to it. And, you know, as I said, and then another, I think, very important thing is to see justice being done. Nigeria now, we are trying to improve the trials. Nigeria started with trials to investigate and prosecute the Boko Haram suspects. There are a lot of problems here. On the one hand side, it's good. This country is trying to address the problem of terrorism. But as we all know, when countries start to be confronted with these problems, they may use counter-terrorism mechanisms which are not very democratic. And what we are trying to do is to improve that, you know, to bring human rights into these trials, to explain to them if the accused people, even the suspected terrorists, they have rights. You know, they have rights for fair trial. So we have seen that, you know, slowly things are improving. These are small steps, you know, it's
no, perfect. We're building the ark, Bettina. But let me add a little bit, because this is super interesting, and I cannot miss the opportunity to ask you. We cannot miss the opportunity to ask you. You come from Germany, and Germany. I had the pleasure to be in Berlin a couple of years ago, and I saw, and forgive me for my ignorance, but you know, you have all these issues of the previous war. Then you have the two Germanys putting together. Then I go to Berlin, and everybody's a unified country, and everybody talks about something like a great achievement. I see like a so-called perfect society now, in the sense that, are we perfect, Germany? And then who do you think you are, Germany, to come, you, Bettina, to come to these countries to teach us what to do?